Hi.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out.
What's great is seeing all these empty seats over here, because that means normally this place is all packed, but not for us.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out. My name's Jonathan. I work on the Google Voice team. In addition to that, I work with a lot of the early adopters and influencers on Google+. And today we are joined by Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge of Blink-182. So the guys have been kind enough to take some time off the Honda Civic Tour to sit with us and answer some questions. Today's discussion will be mostly around Google Plus and the band's involvement, as well as some questions from our fans via the YouTube moderator page. So let's dive in. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. Yeah, I think that we stopped the rain today. I'm pretty sure we stopped the rain. We're at the end of a 10-week tour, so every time I see people that I know, they come up to me and they say, "You look really tired. You look really tired." Tom just looks that way always, so we're good though.
Good. Tom, this one's for you. I'm sure you're asked this all the time, but obviously we might have some newbies in the room. If you could take us a little bit through the formation of Blink-182 and a brief history up until now with the release of your new album, Neighborhoods.
20 years. It's a 20-year speech.
Give us the Cliff Notes.
I got kicked out of high school, and I met his sister at the new high school. And his sister, she goes, "Oh, you play guitar? My brother's moving down here, plays bass." And I was like, "Yeah, you know." And at the time, actually, that's when I saw Scott play, because Scott was playing drums. He wasn't even in high school yet, but he came over at lunchtime for a battle of the bands with some other freshmen or something. He was like in 8th grade. And so he's at the school, and we're like, "Wow, this guy's a great drummer." And he's in junior high. So I started playing with him in his bedroom. Then I met Mark through his sister at that same school, and we started a band. And came up with the name Skateboarding one night, and here we are. So now, years later, Travis was opening up in another band, and we were at odds with the first drummer, and we made a big departure and got the new guy in. And then next thing you know, we're here. It's crazy.
Somewhere in there, they invented the internet too.
And that's why we're here.
That's why.
You remember the first time I asked you about the internet? I'm in Mark's bedroom, and I'm like, "Mo, what the fuck is the internet?" And he just goes, "Well, no, this is the raddest thing about it. It's so new, really, at this time." He goes, "No, it's like you can like grab anything, and like there's like a thing that you type in, and it pulls up information about that thing." He's like, "For example," and you grab duct tape.
Oh yeah.
And you're all like, "Duct tape," and he goes to the back of duct tape. It's all ducttape.com. I was like, why would people go look up info on tape? You know, that's what I was. But I was tripping. That was my first experience. Last thing I did, and the other thing is, then I went out and bought a computer to look up UFOs because I thought that would be cool. I was like, that makes sense to me. But
Nice.
I ended up on the World Health Organization diarrhea homepage. It was my first. That was my first website that I visited.
He was
always
always
the same thing. It was like my
porn.
sister was telling me about it. And she was like, "You can look up anything." And I'm like, "All right, look up diarrhea." And World Health Organization diarrhea homepage.
not beautiful naked women. It was like diarrhea.
No.
Well, good to know. So Mark,
What was the question?
something about the band back there. I'm curious, what drew you to activate on Google+? You're obviously one of our more active users, and I'm curious what your favorite features are.
I love that from its inception, that you could segment who you spoke to and gave which information to, which is, I think, for me personally, and I think for everybody in the world, is you want to share stuff with certain people. I like that ability. I didn't like having a public persona and a private persona and having two different web pages and things like that. And Google Plus had that from the beginning, which really drew me to it. It's new. I feel like the level of discourse on Google Plus is really high right now. Obviously it's new, so the people that are coming to it are interested. Everything works really well together. I like the Hangouts. I can't wait until I'm able to hang out with more than 10 people, because it's really weird right now when I do a Hangout. It is, because like I'll go into a Hangout and 10 people or 9 other people will pop up and everyone's just sitting there staring.
Is this really him?
And I've done this dozens of times, and it's like, and I go, "So where are you guys all from?" And then it's cool because everyone's like, "I'm from Turkey, I'm from, South America, I'm from Australia," and then and nobody says anything. And so it's about like 10 minutes of me just going like, "Any questions?" But it's cool. I like having that kind of access to people. I like being able to post some things to just my friends. I like judging my friends and putting them in certain circles accordingly. I'm like the ruler of a small kingdom. I'm a benevolent king, but I'm fair, but yeah. I'm also strict.
Good to know you know how to use it.
Yeah.
You got it going. Tom, we're honestly thrilled to have you on Google Plus, and
Really?
well, I know I am. And I'm just curious what your first impressions are, but more specifically, you know, how you've involved social media as a big way of engaging your fans over the years.
Well, I was always enamored with Google. I think that, like, when you look at all the big tech giants of what's going on, I mean, you know, everyone references Apple for their hardware, and then, you know, everyone references Google. He's like, you guys own the internet, you know, it's all this information. And I always was so excited to see competitively what you guys were going to do with your company and all the incredible wizardry that you have, you know. And so when this came out, I was instantly drawn to it because I thought that you guys would use the technology to really integrate so well into things. It's not all there yet, but I can imagine what will happen when you start bringing in like Google Maps more and all the streaming capabilities and email capabilities and all that kind of stuff. It seemed like the one missing component to such a large world that you guys already had. So I was instantly just like, okay, this is going to be a really interesting and different kind of take on the social experience. For me, it's always been really important as the internet. I always described it as like the central nervous system that connects all these different countries and people of varying ethnicities and locations across the globe. But it's like instantaneous. This generation of people is so massively different than when we were a kid. So I think for a company that's so heavily entrenched in the internet, that's responsible for so much of where it's going and what it's capable of, the idea of having a social network be able to be the glue that ties all your other pieces together, I thought that would be a great thing for a business and for a band. And that's how I look. I'm not much, I do really stupid things when I just go out there to say something just to say it. Like, I'm not good at that kind of stuff because usually it's really bad. And I understand that. I'm trying to get better at that, but it has not gotten any better for years. But to be an independent artist and to be able to have that kind of reach and connectivity with your fans and to understand where the marketplace is going and how I want to basically create art that can go, that can be a little bit more forward thinking, you need to have those types of tools. And like Mark said, being able to aggregate people but also send them certain pieces of information based on who they are, what their likes are. I mean, that's like that's like a vague way describing what everyone's going after, you know, and I think that you guys can do anything you want. It's a blank canvas, and that's what's exciting to me.
Cool.
That's the short answer.
Mark, a personal favorite Google Plus post of mine is actually when you chose to reveal the track listing for your new album via a screenshot of just your iTunes library.
Oh, right.
And I'm just curious, was this planned? Was this spur of the moment? And can we expect this to be like, you know, per se the new press release, artists doing it themselves?
I didn't mean for it to be the release of the album track listing. I didn't even think about it. I probably pissed a bunch of people off when I did that. I was so excited to have the actual album in my iTunes library as an album rather than just a bunch of files that I'd taken home from the studio. It was an actual thing at that point that I took a screenshot of it just because I was excited as a fan of our band. I wanted to put it up there. But I think that it is kind of the new press release. I think that people do more of their own press now. Traditional media is also completely important as well, but for me, I love that I can go on Google Plus and let a bunch of people know something or tweet something to 2 million people, and it's there. It's immediate. It allows us to be very agile with, I mean, from afar it would look like we're smart marketing, but really I'm just excited and I like to do stuff. It's as simple
You're
as that.
anxious.
I'm anxious and I'm excited, and I like that instant feedback. I like having a thought and having it go out to a bunch of people, even if it is dumb.
Well, I'm sure your fans appreciate it, right?
Some people do. I never understand though. I never get, like, especially on across all of this stuff. Like, you post something and people reply back, "Oh, that's dumb," or "You're an idiot," and you're like, you had to click a button to follow me. You had to read my thing, and then you had to click a bunch more buttons to tell me that you didn't like what I said. Just unfollow.
Haters gonna hate, man.
Uncircle. I don't get it.
So Tom, there's been some chatter about musician roundtables using Hangouts on Google+. And I'm curious, Hangouts max out at 10 people, but in your dream scenario, if you could hang out with anyone using Google Plus, alive or dead, who would you guys like to have, each of you?
Well, you know, there's a lot. I think a lot. To me, any kind of interesting discussion. It doesn't really necessarily matter who it is. I mean, it would be interesting to be with, you know, musicians, legendary ones from the '60s, because to me it's come full circle where bands came out selling very few records and they had to work really hard to make some noise and to get some attention. And then we ushered in the '80s and '90s where instantly you're selling millions, and you don't have to do anything and you're selling millions of records. And then now you're all the way back to where bands have to work so hard to sell a few, and I think it causes these artists to have to really think about their art and be a lot more progressive just to get any kind of attention. So it's actually a good and a bad thing, but it would be interesting to have discussions with artists from that time period, because I think back in the '60s and '70s, you know, that's when you started getting bands like the Beatles or Led Zeppelin, and they really start thinking bigger and different and just doing things that set them apart from the norm. And I almost feel like we're kind of going into that same zone again. So to me, that would be a really interesting discussion. But the idea that people can come and attend these things is really interesting. And that's what's so cool about the whole video streaming thing. It's just like that in itself is a whole institution that can go for miles and miles on its own outside of, I mean, especially integrated into a social network. It's just like, it's incredible.
Mark, what about you?
Oh,
Napoleon Bonaparte.
probably my grandfather, who I never got to meet. So like Einstein, probably Tom. You and Travis would be in there.
With Einstein?
With Einstein.
Just make me look stupid? That'd be great.
I don't know. There's a bunch of, I could think of a lot better list. Creative people throughout time. Creative, smart people throughout time.
Socrates.
Socrates. It'd be a lot like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's how you should think of Hangouts.
Yeah, totally.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's good analogy.
Now, curious, Mark, you're actually known for responding directly to fans within the comment section of your Google Plus posts.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is important?
I just like setting people straight and answering people's questions. I've always, as a fan of music growing up, I always dreamed about being able to ask questions of bands that I loved, and obviously there was never really... Actually, one time, I saw They Might Be Giants when I was 16 years old, and I sent them a letter. They played a song in this concert that they didn't put on any of their records, and I sent them a letter saying, hey, how come you never record that song, The Sun is a Massive Incandescent Gas? And I sent it to them, and they actually they actually mailed me back a handwritten letter. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And to have that kind of access, much more convenient for me. Like, I can answer people's questions all day long, and it kills time for me, and it lets people know what's up with the band. And I think that people know that we honestly appreciate their support of our music. And I like that kind of interaction. It's important to me. We've always been like that. We've always hung out after shows and talked to people. Not you so much.
Hang out, you know, I hide a little bit.
But I like that kind of interaction. I like that.
You guys should create like hardware that they can stick on their bodies and we can really touch them. Next question.
That's why.
That's
why he doesn't post.
That's true. That's true. That is true.
We need those gems. So, Tom, in 2005, Blink-182 toured. 2005 is actually pretty unique because it also saw the launch of YouTube. And I'm curious, how does it feel to have a shift from video spins to YouTube views? Is it more promising in a way that fans can access your videos on demand instead of, you know, watching TV at the right time and hoping to catch maybe a snip?
It's a total game changer. And the coolest
Game changer! Oh, buzzword. Tell them to think outside the box.
Synergy.
Isn't that anyways, get back to what is cool is like now it's like, hey, have you heard of this band, or have you heard of this song, or have you heard of anything? YouTube is like the new, it's almost like a mini different version of an encyclopedia. You know, you can instantly go there and get some information on it. You can either hear the song, or you can see the video, or you can see an interview, or you can see a TV performance, or you can see some kid, his review about a book or a movie or whatever. It's like, it's, you know, you can go to places like Wikipedia or whatever, but YouTube is like this more from the common person, like really putting their thoughts up, whether it's like they record. A lot of times it's a kid. I've had kids stand outside the studio and record stuff from their car and go put it on YouTube, and it's just like this echo, you know, like, I don't know. I think it's totally a changing.
You can say it. I won't say it.
I don't know if I'm scared to say it, but it is. It totally changes the